welcome to Deadwood Dale, my final park in Planet Coaster 1. It's such a weird feeling. This is my last ever Planet Coaster 1 video, and quite emotional as well. It's very strange. I've been playing this game for 3.5 years now, and to finally have, this is the culmination of all my Planet Coaster 1 work is very strange. This park is mostly complete. There's a couple of little bits. As I mentioned in the last episode, I did have to cancel a coaster, but I've had an exceptionally busy week this week, and I didn't help that I was ill the week before, so yeah. You'll see a lot of videos on the channel, I'm sure, when Planet Coaster 2 comes out, but it has been a little bit slow as of recent. But this park is now, for me, done. I'm super happy with it. It's easily my best park yet, or at least my favourite anyway. You'll have to let me know what you think in the comments, but yeah, Deadwood Dale is finished. This is it. Last ever thing in Planet Coaster 1. We'll start off as a guest would enter it on foot. This is the car park. We've got Bandit's Bunkhouse, which is our hotel. It does look a bit crap, I have to admit, but it's because I completely ran out of time. The rest of the park is completed to a much higher standard, but the hotel itself, I would have liked so much more time with this, but with Planet Coaster 2 releasing next week as of the time this video comes out, I just don't have time, unfortunately. So yeah, that's the hotel. I won't spend too much more time on that, but let's pretend we were a car just for a second. If we are... Oh, we're in a car now. We will come into the park here, which I need to actually open these gates, and you will enter Deadwood Dale. I really like this entrance. It's nice and small and snug, and it really kind of set the thematic experience level for the park, and yeah, I was really happy with it. So you come into the park here. I went super detailed with this. For those of you that don't know, I plan quite a lot of car parks in my job. In an architecture practice, nice laggy autosave. So I designed this all to UK specification and everything. It took a while, but it looks damn good. I'm really happy with it. So you'll come around here. There's a hotel only parking there as well. You get some really nice views into the park. You see all the coasters going around. It's so cool. And then you can walk down to the park entrance, and this is the exit as well. Exit turnstiles, but yeah, this is the park. We are now in Deadwood Dale. I'm really happy with it. You can just see Dan's drop tower there as well. There's so much of this skyline that's changed over the months and months of me building it. It's really nice to see how it's progressed. We've got the backstage there as well, with the front facade of it's even themed in, so you can see it, and it all looks nice from the car park. But as we enter the actual park, I just love this park. It's like I said, it's my favourite thing I've ever made in the game, and obviously my last thing I've ever made in the game as well. So weird saying that, but we have a staff building here, which this is all the back of the back of this. Sorry, is the Antiques car ride as well. So it all provides a purpose. It's backing onto that whilst giving a front facade as well, because this is all one building. And we have the town hall in here, which is our guest services building, all decked out as usual. I want to go more into depth with the interiors in Planet Coaster 2 as well, so that should be fun. Especially with the object scaling, that should be really helpful. And Deadwood Supplies is our park's gift shop. It's double-sided, so you can buy your gifts whilst you're in the park and out the park. Got your coaster wheels and everything. I love TMTK. Down this side, this is a whole separate building. We have the toilets, which is where the people spawner is. You can get your tickets, your accessibility centre, which is kind of leads onto your guest services as well, where I built this building. On the day I found out that I was going to be part of the Planet Coaster 2 Creators event, and I called this Planet Coaster 1 Warehouse. Here we have the actual park entrance itself. Got your security lanes and everything. I'm really happy with the way this is all laid out. I wanted it to feel like a nice small local park, and that was really the vibe that I kind of went for throughout the entire park. It has a lot of rides, but in terms of the actual park itself, it's really compact, and you get areas like this that remind me of the entrance of Polton's or Drayton Manor or something, where the park isn't huge, but you got this quite nice and snug entrance experience. Then you come through your security lane, through the ticket lane, and you are into the park. And I love how immediately immersive it feels. It really helps that the audio is blasting out and it feels like a thriving Western village, but there's just so much going on, which I love. You can enter the gift shop here as well. You've got all the nice bits of foliage and stuff, and I just love how standard and freeform this is. When I was building it originally, I think I mentioned it might have been episode 2 or 3, but a lot of these planters and stuff, they just didn't really feel organic enough, and the park felt very don't know, a bit too neat, I think would be the best way to put it. So when I started putting down these path covers and the things going on, like on the actual paths, and then the path textures changing as well, it just felt like a lot more organic and like true to life of this constantly changing active western village. So I was really happy when I gradually started to find out and explore and experiment as well. I've learned a lot from this park in terms of how to theme a park and how to make it like a varied and interesting experience. So I really hope you all saw that through the creation of this. You enter the park in this western village, well, the whole park is a village technically, but you've got like the bits that are on the outer parts of the village on the other side of the lake. But this is like the main hub center of the village where you've got the most things going on. There's quite a lot more buildings, it's a lot more densely populated than the outsides of the park that are a bit more sparse. You've got your lockers here, your park maps, and then you're kind of into this rest of the village. And you've probably already seen it. We have a coaster under construction in the park. It's a Vekoma mine train. As I mentioned in the last episode, I did have to cut a coaster from this park just because of timings. So we now have a coaster that is under construction, but will sadly never open to this park unless you feel like adding more to the park within the week between this episode releasing and Planet Coaster 2 releasing. But this will be on the workshop after you've watched this tour. This restaurant here that I've said that I'm going to finish for the entire series, Frontier Feast, isn't finished unfortunately, but like I said, I've had to make sacrifices to get this park mostly done before Planet Coaster 2 releases. Down this way is like the main part of the thriving western village, like I've said. We will go down there later. We'll go up to the right first and go like in the opposite order to which I built things. You've got the old mill here, which is I originally had it in as like the park's power supply. You can see the like water wheel there is spinning and powering this building, and then the cables actually go all the way back to the gift shop. It's just a bit of interest in the area and something going on that isn't on the ground as well, like it's above you. If you're walking underneath theming and around theming as well of different levels, it just makes the area that much more immersive, and that's what I wanted to go for. When we have Old Mill Pizza and Old Mill Fries, I'm amazed those staff members are still there. Most of them have left. We've got a staff building here as well, which is all part of that main building, and then up here we have the Deadwood Mines. You've got the ramp for accessibility and then the stairs up this side. And this brings you to the actual mine train, which I think is probably the first attraction we'll go on. So there's new attraction coming soon. As you can see, it's under construction. I didn't get a chance to do any of the theming of this coaster at all. And fun fact, it was originally an Arrow mine train, but I really didn't like it. It felt very like, I don't know, I wanted to build it very much in the style of an Arrow mine train, and it just felt too snappy and a bit like, I don't know how to describe it, like robotic and boring. And then I watched someone's vlog of one of the Disney parks in Asia, and there's the new Frozen kind of like mine train sled ride thing, and I just got really inspired by that. So that's why it's the Vekoma swinging mine train track, because I wanted the wooden beams underneath it, but it's using the GCI Millennium Flyer trains, because these are probably the most accurate to the like modern gen family Vekoma trains. Just ignore that guy peeping through there. I tried to block him in. So yeah, that's kind of the thing that mostly resembles that. And if we go down onto this pad here, which I've now finished, the coaster actually drops underneath in that hole. You can't see, there we go. If I turn my torch on, the coaster drops down underneath there, and you get nice interaction with the train ride too. You've got this like start helix as it comes out of the station, and it does the Big Thunder Mountain Railroad thing from Disneyland Paris, where it starts on one side of the lake and it actually goes underground to get to the other side. It does all of the layout, and then you have like a drop that comes back underneath, shoots up out the ground, and a lift hill back to, you've got cool there, and a lift hill back to the station. So yeah, it was really fun building it, but it didn't really go too far. I'm not happy with all the profiling, and obviously didn't get a chance to theme it. The entrance to the attraction probably would have been here, with some part of elevated queue going up around Dan's drop tower, and then coming back to here, and the exit would have brought you back there. But we will go on this ride now. It's a bit sad that it never got to be like finished and everything, but I'm still glad that I get to show it in this video. This is kind of like an unofficial part 4 to my abandoned and unfinished series, which, if you're looking for things to watch on my channel before Planet Coaster 2 comes out, will be quite good. I'll put the link to that on screen now, because they were a really fun series to do. But yeah, we'll go for a ride on this now. Hope you enjoy it. And there you go, that was the ride on the mine train. I was really happy with the actual layout of it. There was a couple of like profiling tweaks and definitely speed tweaks of like lift hills and stuff that would need finalising, but yeah, I was really happy with the end result. It would have been, obviously, had a lot more theming around it if I'd have finished it, but it would have really made this centre island of the park come alive, and like a lot more movement as well towards the middle of the park, which would have been nice. And I hope you like the nicer interaction that it had with the train over there as well. Thought that was really fun. Anyway, we'll move now onto the park's like newest rides, like at least episode wise. We have the Gravity Group wooden coaster called Tiny Timbers. Yes, I have changed the sign. I was quite ill when I'd made that episode, so I have an excuse. Tiny Timbers by Mr. Antonio. Absolutely love that coaster. And then we have Deadwood Caverns by Dan's Theme Park. Again, two fantastic, incredible attractions. I love them both. But we'll go for a ride on Dan's Drop Tower first. So you come up this like quite windy, steep path, which I love. Get some great elevated views of the park from up here into the mines themselves. And I absolutely love this attraction. So we need to enter it at night. And it's very spooky down here. I love all of the like theming and the rock work Dan's made. There we go, we're at the bottom now. You see the bandits themselves, and then you can get on this amazing drop tower, which I love. I love how it's like set into the ground and it's all themed and everything. Such great Mystery Castle vibes as well. It's fantastic. Let's go and take a ride. There you go, absolutely fantastic drop tower themed attraction there by Dan's Theme Park, and it's brilliant. I really love it, and it fits perfectly in this park too. So you come out of the ground through that winding pathway that I'm not going to do because Tejicam's been an absolute pain today, and it brings you back up into the main park, just next to the entrance as well, which is really nice. Now, if you enjoyed that little sneak preview of the park at night as well, I will give you a full look at the entire park at night at the end of this tour, so stay tuned until the end for that. You get great views of the whole park across here. You can see Polarity over there, the Max Spinner, all the rest of like the Main Street style area. Great views of the mine train going up there as well. Custom supported the lift hill as well, which I thought was quite cool. Then you come down here and you get these fabulous views of the wooden coaster. See it absolutely roaring around. It's going to come into my favourite section of track in just a second. I absolutely love that. Antonio did an incredible job. Quality Deadwood did an incredible job of creating this coaster. There's a little food area up here as well. Obviously this is the Deadwood Dale Sawmill. You get some nice views of the rest of the park pretty much from everywhere, but I really like being right up close to the lake too, because you get some really good views, and the actual scale of this mountain in the middle, I didn't really realise how big it was from like people view. But yeah, it's wooden coaster time now. I'm really happy with this. They're all running for some. Why is everybody running? I love how these two sit next to each other as well. Like the colour palette of the wooden coaster and the Vekoma sit quite nicely. That's a nice view. I'm going to be saying that a lot in this episode. So you come underneath the structure here into this like little plaza before Tiny Timbers. I renamed the sign, don't worry. I know there's so many people who commented saying the sign's wrong. I know, it's because I was really ill that week and my brain just wasn't functioning. I really like the queue as well. It's going like really down underneath the attraction, in between all the trees and foliage. I definitely fixed that as well. I fixed the railing so you don't like fall off. That wouldn't be good. You get nice views of the ride actually. As you come like higher up into the park, you get like higher up to the top of the lift hill, and you realise how much of a terrain coaster this really is. I gave Antonio just the park file that's on the workshop at the start of this series, the template park file, just to work off, and he did an incredible job. Like fitting around all the scenery and everything, and obviously all of these trees that. Any tree that was in that template park file to begin with has been kept. I haven't removed a single tree. That was like part of the pretend planning stipulation that the park was under, that it couldn't remove any of the existing greenery, so that's what we did. In fact, we enhanced it because we've added loads of trees. But yeah, let's get on the wooden coaster now. Really excited to get back on this. I think we'll go for a back row ride. And there you go, that was Tiny Timbers, our Gravity Group family wooden coaster, and I love this thing. I feel like it would be an incredibly re-rideable coaster because it's not very long, but it packs such a punch. And I love the way it sits in the terrain and the landscaping. It's just amazing. Antonio did an incredible job, and Dan. The last episode where I had both of you create something for this park was really, really fun, and I can't wait to do that sort of thing again in the future with Planet Coaster 2, especially with all the ease of like multiplayer as well. It'd be so much easier. And from one coaster that interacts with its landscaping a lot to another, next up we have the Vekoma Bermuda Blitz, or whether that's the right name on it or just like looping coaster, modern gen, new gen thing, mega coaster I think I called it. We have Black Gold. Great name suggestion. I think Antonio suggested it, but there was loads of people who suggested it afterwards as well. But yeah, I love this coaster. It's probably one of my like top 3 steel coasters I've ever made in Planet Coaster. I think I mentioned before that I made it just after my trip to Poland, like my most recent one, because I've been 3 times now. And this trip was the first time we went to Legendia, and I rode Lek Coaster and absolutely loved it. So I basically my love letter to Lek, this coaster, and it's got a really cool theme as well. Like if this was Planet Coaster 2, I would have probably put the drill piece on the end of the train, but it's basically like the train is digging for oil. It's like some sort of Western contraption that's been made where the train's like burying underground and trying to find this oil. It's really cool. So the nice kind of like pad for the queue at the back where you've got this some nice theming interaction. You get good interaction with the wooden coaster as well, which is right next to it, the first drop at least anyway. And then you come out onto this bit that's above the station, get fantastic views of the coast. You can even see the Striker all the way over there, just going through his Cobra roll. And yeah, I had a great time making this, I have to say. It's just something about all black coasters just look really cool. Yes, I definitely wanted to put more work into the station, but like I said, because of time constraints, I unfortunately didn't get time to do that. But the coaster itself, it just speaks for itself. It looks fantastic, and I'm completely obsessed with it. I'm really excited to go back on. I think we will have a back row ride on this as well, actually, because it's definitely, I think, probably a front row ride. With some of the near misses with all the scenery, kind of like the wooden coaster to be fair, but on the back row it just feels that much more unhinged and out of control, so we'll have a go. There you go, there was Black Gold. I had such a fun time making that coaster, like I said, but now that it's all complete and seeing it interact with the landscape and everything around it, it just rides fantastically. Especially in the back row, it just feels that much more out of control. Great time in autosave again. I can't wait for when Planet Coaster 2 deals with autosave better. At least it did when I played in the alpha. It was just a lot more easy to like manage and control. Some of the profiling on these elements as well was very satisfying to make. And if you remember in the episode, I built this coaster completely on flat land like a year, probably more like a year ago, more than a year ago actually. So integrating it into all of this terrain was quite hard work, but in terms of like all the trees, it did fit really nicely. So that was really cool being able to do that. And I love how you can walk through like basically the ride area as well. I put this path that goes through the actual main area of the ride, which was really nice. And yeah, I was mega happy with it when I finished it as well, and it just looks really cool. I love that stall turn up there as well, so you can get a better view of that as we go around. But yeah, it's fantastic. If you're wondering how I got that POV angle as well, if you go on the rider cam setting for the camera, go in the back car and zoom out a little bit, it actually zooms out further than the seats, so it makes you feel like you're on some sort of invisible back row behind the back row, and I really like that. It just kind of works. It makes the camera look a little bit wider in the POV, which I hope we will be able to do in Planet Coaster 2 eventually. It's almost like you've got a GoPro on with an ultra-wide lens. This is the like path that runs across the water with the coaster. Again, great views. I'm going to be saying that a lot during this, but just great views all around. Anyway, talking of great views, next up we have the Striker, and this was really fun to build as well. That's basically what I wanted to do with this park. I just picked coasters that I knew would be fun to build, because very early on when I started this park, I knew it was my last one. When I got onto the creator program with Frontier, I loved that view. So I knew very early on that it was going to be my last thing. I wanted to make it special and enjoyable for me, because I knew I had a lot on at the time as well. I was starting uni again to do my masters, and I thought it was going to be a lot of stress, so I wanted to do things that were just pure enjoyment, and it didn't really feel like too much hard work getting this park done, and it really didn't. It was just a lot of really like fun times making this place. Up into the Striker area anyway, we have the ramp for accessibility and the stairs, and then like I said with the last area, you're just immediately immersed in it. There's speakers blasting themed audio all around, the coasters going pretty much everywhere all above you, the profiling on some of these elements as well, it was really nice to be able to do. And because this is like the only Max Striker in the world currently is Voltron, the layout for this was, I felt like I could pretty much just do whatever I want, because you couldn't really call out saying, oh, this isn't very realistic, because, well, what is? There's only one example of this coaster in the world, so I could just go completely free with what I wanted to do. And I think this is my best coaster in terms of path interaction, because I designed the area first and then the coaster, where normally I do it, like especially with the Vekoma, the other way around. But doing it this way, it just allows you to plan ahead of time for all of those like interactions between. That's a nice view. Allows you to plan for all of those interactions between the coaster and the pathway, and it's like all the elements that come out over it, and like obviously it needed netting. But yeah, I just love it. And I think I mentioned in the episode as well that it's really important for me when I'm designing coasters to make like part of the layout, which normally ends up being the first part, a statement piece. Like think about Hyperia, it's more of like a statement and visually viewable and famous because of the first drop and how those first few interactions, and I suppose they're like Outer Bank twist inversion thing, how they're visible like on the skyline. And I really wanted to do that with this coaster and the Vekoma, because obviously the Vekoma, it's the lifter. You can see it from pretty much everywhere in the park. It's like really big and prominent at the back. And this set of like first elements here with the inversions, I put them over the water and like a really prominent part of the coaster. So again, you can see it from pretty much anywhere. It looks nice and intimidating, but most importantly, it looks iconic. At the time of making this, and now I suppose, I hadn't really seen anything that looked like this. So I really wanted to make it sort of a visual standpoint of this area, and it was like very impactful and unique. So that's what I was going for with that. Same for the station building. I wanted it to look like it had been here for a while, but it needed to stand out and look unique. And this coal refinery thing, like I mentioned, just spawned from an idea I had whilst watching an episode of the YouTube channel Proper People. It's like an abandoned urban exploration thing where they were looking at this coal refinery in France, and yeah, the idea for this just kind of stemmed from that. I already knew what I wanted to do with the coaster, but the actual theme of it was still a little bit of a mystery to me until I watched that. Yeah, and it just worked out so perfectly. But we will enter the queue at night so you can see all that atmospheric lighting. I've quickly realised as well that when I don't script videos, like this one, I can talk a lot more freely, I find. When I script videos, I always mess up bits, like pretty much always. I've been recording a couple of videos this week, which will be coming out at some point soon, you'll see, but like especially for the Planet Coaster 1 recap video, the entire video is scripted, but I had to kind of do that because it was a very structured video talking about my like journey through Planet Coaster 1, but I just keep messing stuff up. There was just so many parts of it that I was... Oh, that's nice. There was just so many parts of it that I was just struggling, so when I do like more freeform, just like rambling stuff like this, I find it so much easier. But you probably know that from if you see my live streams anyway, because I just ramble loads during those. But anyway, this ride, I wanted to create a indoor queuing experience in the station very similar to Voltron. So you've got the actual station, like with all of its thematics and lighting and everything and pieces of theming. But I gave it something that Voltron doesn't have, where the actual coaster itself goes through this building. So I think John Wardley wrote about it in his book, where like the Creating My Nemesis book, that if you have a section of your coaster, like say if it's an indoor coaster, I did this in Voyager's Adventure actually, if it's an indoor coaster, you want the guests to be able to see a piece of that coaster before they ride, which is obviously all the outdoor portion for this. But the reason why I put this in it as well is you want to be able to see them riding it and their reaction as well, because that will gauge about whether your guests want to go on it. Like, if you see a coaster and you see people enjoying themselves on the coaster, you're more likely to want to go on it. So I positioned the last part of this coaster in the queue. So when it pulls through, just think you're stuck in like a really long queue for this ride, and you see the train coming through like every, I think it's like 45 seconds or something, and you see people like screaming and whooping and clapping and smiling at the end of the ride. You think, wow, okay, this is going to be really worth queuing for. So it's just kind of like how you can make a coaster impactful to people in the queue and stuff going on around it. There's a science behind it, I'm sure, but it was fun doing it. The outside portion as well, a little sneak preview of the coaster's night lighting. We won't walk all the way around that cattle pen. Look at that. You'll see it later, I promise. But yeah, I was really happy with the actual station for this ride as well. We'll have a little look so you can see the rest of the park at night. And I love how like powerful and impactful and really imposing that looks. But we'll go on this coaster at daytime. I just want to show you the station at night because it looks nicer. So I will see you after the POV. There you go, that was the Striker, and I cannot tell you how much I'm looking forward to the performance boost of Planet Coaster 2. I had to record that POV twice because the autosaves just, they completely destroy my game with lag. Like, I had to wait like a good 3 minutes there while the autosave just did its thing, even though I've uninstalled all the TMTK that this park isn't using as well. Oh, look at the profiling. I had a great time building this coaster, along with most of this park, but especially this coaster, like I said, because there's no really other precedent behind it. Because there's just one Voltron, there's no other Strikers, so yeah, it was really fun being able to pretty much do what I want with this ride, and the profiling was just very satisfying to be able to do. The entire thing is 2 meters smooth, just so I could get that profiling as like perfect as I wanted it to, and I like how you can only see this like first part of the ride until you actually get in the queue as well, and the rest of it's quite hidden. It's a nice effect. We move our way around to kind of like the final area of this park now. There was another plot here that I didn't really know what to do with, so I just put new attraction coming soon. Again, time constraints didn't really allow for me to put anything there. Look at that though, the two big thrill coasters of the park right next to each other on the sideline. I love it. And the custom supporting as well. Every coaster in this park was custom supported because obviously it's me. I always custom support my rides, but these two were extra special. They were definitely the most accurate custom supporting I've ever done. Like, for ride models, I suppose, that I knew about, but in terms of ride models that I didn't know that much about until I watched pretty much 3 or 4 documentaries on it and just became completely obsessed, was, yeah, this coaster, the Intamin multi-inversion dueling coaster, Cop Car Chase / Lethal Weapon Pursuit, that used to be at Movie Park Germany. I became completely obsessed with this coaster, like I mentioned in its episode. And it was a really, really nice experience for me to just completely and accurately recreate the coaster, because it did have a pretty sad ending, and I didn't want this coaster to kind of fade into history and be forgotten about. So I thought I'd remaster it in Planet Coaster, and I completely remade it perfectly accurately, like analysed the profiling of the track, the speed of the trains at certain points, the custom supporters, that it was all as accurate as it could possibly be. And then obviously I modified it slightly. It would be like having Zamperla in how they've done the Top Thrill 2 and that Centifiazzo coaster, where they've put in the LSMs on it and like redone it so it's nice and modern, everything, giving it new trains. So that's sort of what's happened with this. There's a flat ride here called Soar, which is a Gerst out with Skyfly. Really enjoyed putting this on the side of the water as well, you get some great views of it if it's flying overhead of this area. And this is like your industrial area of the park, so I wanted it to feel very alive, very vibrant, but also have like a lot going on visually, so the area felt like it was moving a lot. So yeah, it was really fun making this. Just this coaster itself was really special for me to recreate, and I had such a fun time doing it. Like I mentioned, that I recreated this coaster before I'd even conceived the idea of this park. I don't even think I was going to make a video of it. I was just going to do it for like pure enjoyment, but once I'd finished it and realised how special this thing was that I'd created, I knew I had to get it into the park somehow. So that was where Polarity came from, and great name suggestions in this park in general. Actually, there's been quite a few good ones. Got a gift shop here as well, and the terrain interaction with all the coasters in this park were really nice, but this one, when I put it in, it perfectly lined up with this like water spout, like natural water source that I put into the park when I was designing the template file anyway, and it just worked. It just worked so perfectly. Obviously getting the path and the queue around this was quite interesting because it's configured very differently to how this coaster was when it was in real life in Movie Park Germany, so getting all of this like queue underneath and especially making it wheelchair accessible was a real struggle, but I'm really happy with how it paid off. It worked quite well. So you've got the queues for the two separate sides. A lot of detail in this queue. This was back when I had time, when I had time to theme things and stuff. But yeah, it looks really nice, and I love this view as well. The final two inversions. I'm pretty sure these were like the first ever Heartline rolls at a coaster as well, which was really interesting. You should watch the videos. Like, I think it was the Expedition Theme Park one, but there's quite a few other ones about this coaster type. But you should definitely have a look at them because they're really fascinating. And like when I found out that this coaster just got torn out when the like part of the Six Flags group acquired the park, I knew I couldn't let it go. This has the biggest queue in the park, and I don't know whether it's because of the like how the prestige works in the game. I think it's more because it's the biggest thing with the queue closest to the entrance. I think that's how it works. But obviously we'll go on both sides of this coaster. I'll try and get a different POV for each. It is so busy. And I think this is probably my favourite station I've made in the game as well. I really like the way this is all like composed and works, and like I said, it feels very much alive. I've replaced the normal ride operator's booth with like the dual one in the middle as well, so they can always be dispatched at the same time. And I'm just so happy with it. There's a little like pre-show before the ride starts. It's just perfect. Let's go for a ride. It's going to be nice to get back on this. I haven't been on it in a while. So there you go, that was the red side of Polarity. The blue side, I'm actually going to wait until a little bit later and we can have it as a night ride, because there's some great night rides in this park. Obviously this station, like all the rest of them in the park, is completely wheelchair accessible. That is a very important point that you should always do in your parks. So the whole thing is, which is really great to see. And I love the fact that I've got like supports going through the path and everything, and this area just feels like such a mess, but in the best way possible. Like, it's really cramped because of how the queue had to work to get around the ride, but it just turned out so perfectly, and I love it. I really, really love it. The soundtrack slaps as well. Down here we have the hotel and like the gardens area of the park, the more peaceful part, so we'll have a look down there now. Again, great views across the lake from pretty much all like parts of this park. Like, putting a lake in the centre of your park is always a pretty good like idea. Like, it's just a solid way to plan out your park around something central, and it just normally works out quite nicely. I don't know why, it just works pretty much every time. It's like very cohesive, having somewhere that you can always look to so you can find your way around. We have the flying carousel here, which is a really nicely themed flat ride that I put in the middle. just with these like nice detailings around the side. Down here we have the entrance to the hotel just for like hotel guests, so you can leave straight from here to get into the park on a morning. Like I said, this hotel isn't finished, so I'm not going to show you any more of it because I didn't really have time, but it does provide you with a fantastic view of Polarity, like especially this angle there. Look at that shot, and I love the way that it interacts with the water as well. It's so nice. Down here is like the more quiet zone of the park, like I mentioned before. It's always important to have these in a park, just somewhere away from all the rides where you can chill out. And the reason why I put it near the hotel as well is because you want some sort of like sound barrier block between the rides and the hotel. Like the Intamin's not too noisy, neither's the spinner. Obviously the people on it will be, but that's why there's quite a lot of trees and foliage around this area to provide like a dampener and a block between those rides and attractions in the hotel. So that's where this chill out area is too. You come through down into the main like part of the entrance of the park, and you are greeted with your Mack spinning coaster, which is the final coaster in the park. I did want to put a kiddie coaster in the park somewhere as well, but like I said, time constraints have not allowed that to happen, unfortunately. But I do really like this Mack spinning coaster, obviously inspired by Storm Chaser at Poltons. I would love to get there someday, and if I do, I'll definitely make a vlog of it. We have Tumbleweed. Really like the name for this as well. It fits the attraction perfectly. Again, completely wheelchair accessible, as all the attractions in your park should be. I like the queue for this one as well. It's not like a normal queue that I do, because it's like a lot of like out and back style. I normally try to condense my queues, but with the way that this ride area works, it did just work out quite nicely having a really out and back queue. You get some great views of the ride going all around you and above you as well, which is always fun. Just makes that queuing experience that much more like I was going to say enjoyable, but queuing is never enjoyable, you know what I mean? Making it more entertaining so that you don't really feel as bad about waiting along the line. But hopefully it shouldn't be too long, because this ride actually runs 2 trains, which is cool. You can see it flying around there as well. I had some really fun building experience making this, just with all the funky elements and everything. There's quite a few of these out there now, so I really wanted to make mine unique, and I feel like I did that in quite a nice way. The station for this as well was really fun to do. Lots of nice beams and detailing and everything. Obviously I would have wanted to have got more detail in, but this is one of the first coasters I put in the park quite early on, and I knew that I wanted to add a lot more coasters, and Planet Coaster 2's deadline was approaching, so that's one thing that I would definitely say from having quite a few building experiences with. Do not give yourself a deadline if possible, because it stresses you out way too much. So definitely build at your own pace, but we'll go on this coaster now. There you go, that was our Mack family spinning coaster, and you go down the stairs here underneath the track to exit. The maintenance area for this one is underneath the station, very much exactly the same as Storm Chaser at Poltons, and obviously to avoid those stairs you have got the wheelchair on this side, which you can access from obviously anywhere in the station, so great for onload and offload for those that are in a wheelchair. And the final, well, I was going to say final ride actually, we have got the train ride, which I won't go on because it is quite a long journey round, but you've seen where the whole train goes. Got this nice viewing area as well there, you can see through the loops, that's nice. This train goes around the whole park, and like I mentioned in the episode for the Striker, it does actually have a purpose, how it's like transporting coals from the mines to the refinery, which I thought was quite a nice touch. Get some nice views of the train actually just going around and like going underneath all the scenery and everything. It's got some nice foliage too, the Deadwood Express. You've got a toilets building here, nice fountain, and then on to our actual last ride where we have Rusty Ranch Rovers. I have a thing for alliteration when I do rides, where you've got like all your nice horses and foliage and everything. We will take a ride on this since I did put quite a bit of effort into the scenery of it and stuff. Again, very busy attraction just because I think of how high throughput it is, and because of it's very close to the entrance. The Planet Coaster guests are quite like real theme park guests in that regard, where they will kind of flock to the rides that are closest to the entrance, and that's a good thing. Like advice, if you go into a park you've not been to before, my advice would be to go to the attractions that are furthest away, because that will normally be where people will get to later in the day and rather than the start of the day. It's exactly the same for Planet Coaster, so the AI is quite accurate in that way, but we will go on this now. I like the station as well. Rusty Ranch Rovers will take a ride. There you go, that was the car ride. I hope you enjoyed seeing our two resident horses, Beams and Carrot. If you're a long-time follower of the channel, you'll completely understand those two jokes. But yeah, that's it. That's Deadwood Dale. You go back down this street here. There's a nice like food place here with a great view of all of the like kind of thrill coasters, apart from you can just see the Striker. Yeah, and that's it. That is Deadwood Dale. You've seen the entire park, and yeah, I'm so happy with it. I really hope you all enjoyed it. But we'll take a little aerial view of the place as well. But just before that, as promised, here is a look at the park at night. Really wanted to make this my best night lighting park, and I certainly tried very hard to get it to do that. It starts off with all the street lights here and highlighting all the signs, and then when you come into the park, the car park is obviously lit enough for a car park, but obviously the entrance sign looks really nice. I would have put some lighting on the hotel too if I'd have had more time with that, but the actual park itself looks really nice. All the buildings are like quite soft with the lighting on those, just enough to highlight them, but then the coasters, they're the ones that have the most range. The entrance does look really nice, all the night lighting over here. I wanted the entrance to feel like, especially at night, because of how like compact and like narrow some of the pathways are, I wanted it to feel really cozy. So the lighting in here is very soft, it's very like warm colours, and it helps give that like very, like I said, cozy aesthetic to the whole area, which is really nice, and I'm really happy with it. All the rides themselves have actual lighting too. The flat rides especially have like quite thematic lighting, but some of the coasters I think are where the lighting really shines. I've put some lighting in the stations as well. It's not as harsh as it would probably have to be in real life, obviously because of all the safety procedures, and the staff needs to see what they're doing, but there's certain areas like this that are a lot more softer, and then when it comes to the coasters, the lighting's certainly a lot more dramatic, like especially with the Intamin Dueling coaster. The station is like quite bright inside, where you've got like a lot of activity going on, whereas there's parts of the coaster that are nearly in complete darkness, but most of it is quite focused lighting to really highlight the track. And now let's take that night ride on the blue side of Polarity. and then obviously in the center of the island, of the park, this would have had some lighting on had I finished this coaster, but down here there's some soft lighting on the pathway all the way to the very like stark blue Max Striker, which I absolutely love. The lighting on this looks fantastic. And then I had to put a night ride in on this as well, because this and the Intamin are probably my favourite night rides in the park. It's a proper statement piece, obviously, that the coaster was intended to be, but the lighting really adds to it. And that's the first part of the ride. The second half is quite dark down here, which I did this fully intentionally. The parts that are like a little bit more lit is the pieces of track that you can view, but all the stuff that's behind the station building I wanted to keep really in the dark. Like this inversion here, you can barely see it. So I love the way that this all looked and turned out. The Vekoma coaster, I intentionally left very dark. I wanted there to be lights on the train, quite like Stardust Racers at Universal, where the track is actually completely dark, because it's supposed to be this vehicle that's like flying through the air to like crash into the ground and dig really deep. So it didn't really make sense for me to light up the track in that way. But obviously, if I'd built this in Planet Coaster 2, I would have put lights on the train. And I've highlighted the paths in the theming scenery pieces too. The wooden coaster, I've gone for very soft all-around lighting on it. I thought that it just would like really soften it on the skyline at night, make it really visible, but also just the lighting on these types of coasters looks really nice with all the wooden beams, and this train does actually have lights on as well, which I think looks fantastic. So as it's like flying around, it's really highlighting all of those dark areas, and like the track in front of it as well. It just looks really nice as that's flying around everywhere. And then over here we have this pathway, which I didn't put any lighting on, but like I said, I would have done if I had more time, and finished this whole area for the mining, like the caves. The train has a light on by itself, which is nice too. And then Dan's drop tower is beautifully lit, especially if we look down the actual like cavern itself where the drop tower lives. I really like that. It starts off like really warm down there and is quite cold, like bluey turquoisey towards the top. Looks really nice, but yeah, that's how the rest of the park looks at night all together. It looks really, really cool, and I'm so happy with it. I'll definitely be focusing on night lighting again in my next park series, because it's just a really fun addition to add to your park. And there we are. This is my final ever piece of work in Planet Coaster 1, and it's now complete. I'm so happy with it, and I have to say the support over this series has been absolutely fantastic. This series alone, I think, has probably had the most impact on my channel in terms of like new subscribers and new viewers, but also just complete engagement in general. Like, there's been a lot more uptake in members to my Discord server, which has been fantastic. If you haven't already joined, the link will be in the description below. It's a great place to talk to and get advice from fellow Planet Coaster creators, and just a nice place to be. It's the best place as well to get all of the latest and up-to-date information on my channel and get notified about announcements and changes and everything. But this park series itself has just completely transformed my YouTube channel in ways I never expected, especially not 3.5 years ago, which is why I will be making that Planet Coaster 1 recap video of my last 3.5 years with this amazing game. It is really emotional, I have to be honest, that I've put nearly 1,000 hours into the PC version of this game, over 1,000 hours into it on console, and this is it. I'm moving on now. Planet Coaster 2 is right around the corner, releasing next week at the time of release of this video, and yeah, it's going to be crazy. I'm so excited for it, especially because of all the new coaster types and the improvements to all the game's features that only build on this incredible first game as well. But it's been such a journey, and I'm so glad that you've all enjoyed it as well. The support on the series, like I mentioned, has been absolutely insane. This week, as of when I'm recording this, we just hit 17,000 subscribers. I remember when I first started like my first Park series, I think I was on 50, and this is my 7th Park series now. Absolute madness. I can't show my appreciation to you all enough, really. It's been such a journey, and it's really been good for me as well, I think. I don't really talk about that enough on the channel. Like, mental health's important, and this Park series has been really helpful for me, but having this YouTube channel to like have something to constantly manage and grow and explore loads of different creative outputs on has been fantastic, and I'm so happy that I have it for that. I'm so happy that I have you all along for the ride as well, pardon the pun. And I'm really glad that there's a lot of people who comment saying that, oh, this series or this episode of this ride's really helped them do this and that, and especially with the tutorials as well. Like, I'm glad that this stuff really helps you build, and I hope that it can into Planet Coaster 2 as well. I'm going to stop getting all emotional. This Park series is really taking it out of me emotionally towards the end of this tour. But I'm so happy that you're all enjoying it. Like I said, Planet Coaster 2 releases next week, so turn your post notifications on, subscribe if you haven't, because there is going to be so much Planet Coaster 2 content coming. I'm really excited. I'm going to hit the new game running very quickly and making loads of content and stuff. Like I mentioned in my Planet Coaster 2 giveaway video when I talked about kind of what's next for my channel, I did mention about like the 2 Park series that I have planned. So go and watch that video if you haven't already, where I explain both of those, along with like coaster videos, tutorials, challenges, all sorts. It's going to be so fun when that game finally comes out. It's been a very long anticipated game, but it's nearly here. It's nearly here. So excited. There'll be a couple of vlogs on the way before the end of the year as well, so keep an eye out for those, along with a whole host of other videos in the new year, including some a lot more vlogs as well of quite a few parks that I hopefully haven't been to before, which will be really nice. Thank you so much for watching. This is my last ever video on Planet Coaster 1. It feels so strange, but yeah, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for the support on not only this but my entire channel, just in general. It's been an amazing journey of my final ride in Planet Coaster 1. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in Planet Coaster 2. Thanks again. See you around.